You had a brother 62 years old by the name of Kenneth Herring. Now, he was in a car accident. He decides to leave the scene, and then you had a 21-year-old Caucasian female by the name of Hannah Payne. She decides to chase after him and corner him at another stop. Now, this woman gets out of her car with her gun. Now, you know immediately is already in her mind that she wants to do so when they get out of the car with a gun. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Have no bond set at this time.
21-year-old Hannah Payne had a pained look on her face when she heard she faces a murder charge. That's after police say she noticed 62-year-old Kenneth Herring hit a car and leave the scene Tuesday evening. Officers say Payne caught up with Herring at Riverdale Road and Forest Parkway and blocked him in with her car. He says she went to Herring's car with her gun to keep him from leaving again. Police don't see it completely that way.
An altercation then ensued between the two of them, and during the altercation, Mr. Herring was shot and killed.
Nicole Jackson says she saw Payne fighting with Herring, telling him to get out of his car.
All of a sudden you hear a pow! And she got on her phone immediately and was like, he pulled the trigger.
Police say Payne had called 911 before the shooting. Herring's estranged wife says Payne should have waited for officers.
Why would you get out the car until the police came? That would have been logical. If they told you to stay in the car, why would you get out? That means you wasn't in no danger if you got out of your car to go to his car.
Herring says Payne is a danger to the community.
I think she needs to go to jail because you committed murder.
I've told you guys many times before, just doing these news stories and doing a lot of study over the years and just over history. If you see them being too bold with you, you better know they got a gun. Now, what you did not hear is what some other witnesses stated outside the one sister that you heard talk about what she done. She immediately got out of the car and she had a vest on that said bad girl on it. So she got out of the car with that vest on with a gun. She went there to start something with him. And she thought that she could just make him do whatever she wanted him to do. And she ended up shooting him in the abdomen. Now, immediately she calls 911, goes back to her car, gets out of that vest and puts on a pink sweater and acting like she's the victim and she didn't do anything wrong. She went there to start something with this brother, make a confrontation, and she had in her mind what she wanted to do because they feel that, okay, well, I can just kill a black person and I'll just say it's self-defense or I fear for my life. That's what they'll say. Now, this woman should be convicted of murder. It's just point blank because every bit of that is her fault. Would that happen? She wasn't the police. They told her from what I was reading that she didn't have to go engage that man like that, pulling the George Zimmerman basically. You know, when they told George Zimmerman, okay, we come in, just leave him alone, and George Zimmerman still followed him anyway. It's the same thing. Just like George Zimmerman, leave that man alone, we on the way, and she still gets out of the car and go confronts this man and do what she done to this brother. And she's in jail, and rightfully so. You see, you having more and more of this, or I'm gonna go confront a black person because I feel like I can get away with it right now. Because a lot of them have gotten greatly emboldened ever since 45 have gotten in office. Because they think that, oh, now is our time to act a fool. But the thing is, we have to be careful every single day and understand that we are in a American nightmare, literally. Martin Luther King said that. He said his dream turned into a nightmare. That's where I'm getting that from. Martin Luther King, the one y'all say that we should be like, the one that say we should quote and use his tactics. That's what a lot of them say. So I'm only repeating what Dr. King says, that his dream turned into a nightmare, and he is right. It's been a nightmare for a long time. Even before Dr. King showed up, it's been a nightmare for the black man and black woman here in America. The thing is, the deputization of them just doing what they're doing is nothing new. Approaching black people thinking they can do whatever the hell they want, say what they want, is nothing new. We have to understand. I told a young brother also, yesterday, let me tell you, young brother, something. He was explaining to me that he had, brought something to me from Uber Eats. And, this young brother was talking about even the police, because, there's a lot of conversation right now, especially here, what happened to Pamela Turner. Now, speaking of that, we'll have to give an update to that. I know they put out the name of the cop, not the cops, but someone else did, but we'll talk about that another time. But I was trying to tell this young brother because he was kind of getting pissed off and he kind of threw his hands up at the cops like, what do you want? And I was trying to say, listen, they always trying to get us to do something to provoke them, whether it's the cops or even this female here. Okay. I said, and we have to understand that we are in a war constantly. And I told that brother, I said, we need you, young brother. We don't need you gone. And I was just trying to encourage this young brother, just in my own way. But the thing is, we have to be really smart because as you see those birth rates coming out constantly, and one thing that white supremacist in New Zealand said is about the birth rates. If you look at the other manifesto, which we covered from the other shooter at the synagogue, we went through that. If you want to see that, that's on our Patreon page. We did not put that manifesto of me going through that on public because YouTube trips about every little thing. So go to our Patreon page, scroll down, you'll get to that particular manifesto we take our time to go through. It's called The Great Fall of Esau Part 2. Check that out. Same thing in that manifesto, the birth rates. This is why they're getting so violent. This is why they're trying to attack black folks constantly, because they fear becoming a minority. Understand that. So I told you guys that they're going to become more and more and more and more violent. And we're seeing this all the time. So black folks got to take their head out of the sand. You have to understand the reality of what's going on and understand that we are living in a time period where we are highly in danger and we need to be very, very cautious on everything that what we're doing. Now, this situation, we'll see how this plays out. But, we've seen them walk off before. Same thing like Zimmerman. He walked off, even though the police told him to stand down. Just don't leave him alone. We coming to talk to Trayvon Martin ourselves. We don't need that. And one thing I noticed, I'm thinking all the way back to then, with Trayvon Martin, we didn't handle that the right way, and we have been suffering ever since. It's like once they realized that we didn't handle Trayvon Martin the right way, it gave them all the green light to start doing what they're doing all the way up until now. It's amazing how one event has many consequences like that. And even we had a so-called black president that some of y'all just love so much that didn't do crap for black people. We have been suffering hell ever since Trayvon Martin, I noticed in recent time. But, we got to do what we do. We got to keep our eyes open. I always preach unification because that's the only thing that's going to save us, unification. Individualism doesn't help us at all. We're not an individualistic people. We never have been. That's something that the European has done. And then even with the Europeans, they unify under, their allies. They have NATO. They have all these different things that unify their countries, but we don't want to unify. Come on now. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story. It's just sad that what happened to this brother, that she just ran up and acting like George Zimmerman. But, this is what they feel emboldened to do, especially with 45 in office. When they trying to get him to condemn open white nationalists and he refused to, lets them say a lot.